Welcome to a new episode of Hallmark Heartbeats podcast. I'm your host, Camille, and today I am joined by actor from two recent Hallmark movies, Wedding March 6 and Roadhouse Romance, Adil Zaidi. Zaidi.
Yeah,
Zaidi. I know you just said it.
You're all good. You're all good. It takes a moment.
Zaidi. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me. It is such an honor.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So I know I gave a short introduction, but would you like to expand on that more about who you are and
about who I am? Yeah.
What, your career is and stuff, what your career has been like so far and stuff.
Of course. Yeah. I for one, I'm your average wonderful human being that lives out in Vancouver, Canada, but more importantly, I started with the acting thing when I was about 20 years old, and I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. Came out, been on this amazing journey ever since, and about 8 years ago that brought me out to Vancouver, and you never really know in what direction things are going to go, but I seem to have found a nice little home with Hallmark as of late, and I tremendously love their environment in that company, and it's been really nice. Other than that, I live in Vancouver. I'm from Switzerland, and I'm out here doing what I love. So.
I do want to know, do you speak any other language than English? Because it seems like a lot of Swiss people. When I think of
I speak
Swiss people,
French.
I speak 5 languages. So
Switzerland is a little complicated in the sense that they have a lot of languages. They have Italian, German, French, English, and Romansh, which is a language like Old Latin that doesn't quite get used all that much anymore. But I grew up near Geneva. Over on the French side.
I actually did want to know about like Roadhouse Romance. Let's start with that. I was going to start with why did I say WrestleMania? See, my note says WM.
You could start with WrestleMania. I'm a big WWE fan. We can talk about WrestleMania.
Same here. Oh my God, I've been watching for as long as I can remember. But the reason why I jumped to WrestleMania is because my note says Wedding WM.
WM, yeah, and you just see it as I love that. We got Extreme Rules coming up in about a week, so I'm in. I'm a big fan.
Who are you excited to watch? Oh, so I'm you're a Cesaro fan. You have to be a Cesaro fan.
Thank you. I am, yeah, by far, 100%, big time. And so I go Cesaro and Finn Balor are my two guys.
Oh yeah, same here. Oh my God, he's bringing back the Demon.
Oh, he's bringing back the Demon. Yeah.
I haven't seen the Demon in I don't even know how long.
About a year and a bit for sure. Probably pre-COVID, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, like at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Because he went back to NXT.
Yeah, he did, and then he won the belt there, and he became
the Demon on NXT, which was such a disappointment because we loved him on NXT as the Demon.
Love Finn on NXT. Love him on the main roster. It's I'm very excited to see this pay-per-view this coming Sunday.
I know, and then Cesaro had his WrestleMania moment. So I was so happy for him.
I love Cesaro. He was repping the Swiss soccer team the entire time during the Euros, and I was a big fan. I have been and will be a big fan.
You and I are like friends. We can really be friends. We can spend all day talking about no war.
No war, Switzerland, and WWE.
WrestleMania.
That'll be everything.
Well, you said that. You 2 hours for your family history, 3 hours for Switzerland.
Oh yeah, we'll be here all day.
We could probably add on 8 hours.
Oh, it's stupid.
But anyway, I was gonna start with Wedding March. Stop saying WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleMania and Wedding March, very similar.
But no, I'm not joking. I actually have on my notes WM6 because who's gonna write Wedding March 6?
Yeah.
But since you mentioned Roadhouse Romance first, How was it working with Lauren and Tyler? I just finished my recording for that podcast, and one thing I said in that for reviewing that is I felt the movie was so slow.
Yeah. You'll notice something with Hallmark movies. It's the pacing is always something that is something that you got to focus on, because there is a tendency, if it's not really worked on well, that it could end on the slow side. I'm sure you've watched plenty, and you'll see that there's some people put a lot of attention towards it, and you know who's really good with that is Tyler. Tyler has done many different. That dude's a veteran. And he, whenever you're working on with him on set, he'd always be very aware of like things like pacing and dialogue and moments, and is this really that important, or do we need it? Maybe we can cut this and cut to the chase over here. So he's really good at that.
But I also, because here's the thing, this is where I felt like my big complaint was. It felt like they had a whole hour and 13 minutes, and I counted because I stopped my DVR to actually like figure this out. They had a whole hour and 13 minutes of the girl trying to find her grandfather's recipe.
Yeah.
And then like
yeah,
that was like more than half of the movie, right? And then like the rest of the movie was about the tickets, and it felt so rushed. And I'm sitting there going like, why couldn't both stories happen at the same time?
I totally hear you. It literally came from this idea that they were trying to instill this Southern, and clearly, apparently, how Switzerland is cheese and chocolate. Southern is just barbecue sauce. That's barbecue sauce and country music. That's, if you have those two factors.
Potato pies.
Southern
potato pies.
But yeah, no, it was. It's like I said, it's one of those things that you got to be cautious about when you're working on it, and it is something that we do talk about quite a bit, especially when it comes to these Hallmark movies. Just trying to make sure that there's some sort of pacing, if there's a lot of stuff that we had just cut. Like my scene with Tyler, I think was twice as long, and we got there and we were like, we don't need all of this. Like it's a bunch of just. He talked, I talked. We tried to figure out some comedic beats in the middle, and ultimately we were like, we landed on a scene that kind of I think worked. But it
was so funny because I put on my notes. I didn't put it in a podcast. I'm probably gonna edit this because this is not like this is kind of R-rated. But I put on my notes when I was watching the scene that it was like you don't mind me saying this, do you?
I don't mind anything. I'm out here.
Two men whipping out their dicks and trying to measure each other up.
That's essentially what the scene was supposed to be. So I'm glad that that's what you think. That's what came across, because that's exactly, literally what we said. The backbone of the scene was like just a little chess match between these two. That was like, oh, you think because. Joe knows who this guy is. He was there that night. He didn't come out, but he was there that night, so he saw the whole thing. But then he knows it's a small town. He knows that they're spending a bit of time with each other, and he's conflicted on his own, storyline. So when he actually accidentally ends up running into him, he's like, "Oh, okay." Accidentally ends up, thanks to the script. You do exactly. That's what you end up in. You end up in this little. Pissing contest, essentially, for lack of a better term, between these two guys.
It just seemed like it was a jousting competition between the two.
Essentially, you're not wrong. So what you're saying, what I hear from you is that we did a great job in instilling exactly what we wanted. It was supposed to be a juvenile, very like immature, almost, like two dudes being like, oh, but I love her. No, but I love her. No, but I love her.
That is too funny. I'm glad that my point that came across to me, because that's exactly what I saw.
It was the point of that scene. Yeah.
I was like, should I put this on a podcast? Because that's really what I was thinking.
You should. I approve. Yes, you should. Like, how
big are you? Okay, but anyway, that also I liked. But you actually did have some scenes with Lauren as well, and I
Oh, for
think
sure.
yeah. Um, how was it working with her? I actually commented on that her acting was pretty good considering this is
Yeah.
her first lead role, and she like literally.
Yeah. Lauren is honestly one of the most wonderful people you'll meet. Like she's super, super lovely. We chatted a bit ahead of actually before we started to shoot, because that little insider tip for you, that scene we had, our little breakup scene where she sings a song and then we're having dinner. That was actually the first scene we shot. So we texted each other and we're like, man, they're throwing us right into the fire, and we're breaking up day one off the bat. So no, Lauren's a super lovely, super amazing person, as you can imagine. And yeah, she hasn't done a lot of acting. She's done one other movie prior to this called Road Less Traveled. But the thing is, like, acting is one thing. She just has such a natural charisma about her, being a performer, being a musician, and also just being like a super energetic individual as is. That yeah, there, when it comes to technicalities of acting, there's certain things that you pick up over time, but the actual charisma, that's behind it, the actual like connection, human to human connection, she's so good with it. And it felt like it felt as if she'd been acting for ages. It was just
Yeah,
like, she was really, really good and really fun to work with.
yeah. The were you a fan of Lauren
You
music?
know, I I initially, we didn't know who was playing what when all of us got the job. Or at least myself. And then they told me who it was, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I know, I've heard of who that is. But I hadn't actually listened to her music or whatnot. And I am, by the way, a giant country fan. Love country music. Like low key, this was a huge little dream job where I was like, ooh, I get to like be in the country world for a little bit, and just enjoy that. I looked up her music and looked into all that stuff, and I can assure you, before we even started shooting, I turned into a giant fan. I was like, I love her music. I listened to it on the drive today. She's great, man. She's so good.
Yeah,
She's so
I love
good.
my favorite performance in that movie that she did was the last one where she did
Roadhouse Travel. Yeah.
you say nothing, you say it best when you say nothing at all. I've always loved that song. I don't
Yeah.
know who sang it originally, but I've heard it before. It's really good.
Yeah. She's just one of those like incredibly talented, born
Yes.
performers kind of thing.
Yeah. You should
Um,
have definitely won American Idol.
Yeah, I definitely didn't watch that run, but you know what I say? The people that don't win tend to have a better run. So I'm all good with her getting the runner up.
The only
I'm fine
exception
with
is
that.
Kelly Clarkson, but yes, 100.
Yeah,
Carrie Underwood, but
there's all rules are meant to be broken, but for the majority of it, a lot of the people that didn't quite make it to the end up having,
yeah.
phenomenal
I mean, hello,
careers.
Jennifer Hudson.
Bronson, yeah. But honestly, Lauren, I think like after American Idol became a huge staple in Nashville. Like so many of the country artists that I listened to, she was like, oh yeah, that's a friend of mine. I was like, she's pretty ingrained in the Nashville circuit.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know if things would have gone all that way if she had won American Idol and would have had to do all the obligations that come from winning the show. Um, but I think she's doing just fine for herself. Released a new album this month. Released a book last month. Movie this month. She's doing great.
Yeah. People who are destined to be great will get there on their own,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
no matter what. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So let's talk about WrestleMania.
Yeah. WrestleMania, Wedding March 6. Absolutely. WrestleMania, Wedding March 6. That's actually the next sequel to the Wedding March series. They're going to think. Well, Wedding March was amazing. That was like another again, I'll say this real quick, but the beauty of these movies is that, like, you shoot them for about 3 weeks or whatever, and 9 times out of 10, you just end up getting really, really close with everyone that you're working with. Everyone gets along amazing. It's always such a good experience. You're in it together. You're like a team for like 3 weeks. The nice thing about Wedding March is I actually was friends outside of Jack and Josie. I was friends with Nate, Caitlin, Chelsea, Kyle, all beforehand. I knew them all. They didn't know each other. So like day one or day two or something, I grabbed all of them and I was like, we're all going out. And we just went to like the local bar and we hung out. And I was like, everyone here is a wonderful human being, but you don't know each other. So we're all going to get to know each other tonight. And the rest of the shoot was unbelievable. We made some great memories on that shoot.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, you worked with your friends on that movie. I mean, that's got to be great to like.
That's the pinnacle of why I personally do what I do. Like, I obviously have incredible love for the craft, and acting is amazing, and I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. But the perk of working in Vancouver and having such a small community is honestly, at the end of the day, the fact that you get to work with your friends. Like, almost on every job, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people that you know, and you're just like, it makes it really fun. It makes the whole thing like 10 times more enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it personable. Like when you're hanging with your friends, it makes it like you're just chilling in a bar.
Exactly. It literally is just a sometimes when you're on location, we call it like summer camp. Like you go out, you're just with your friends, enjoying a good time. And, it adds so much to the relationship in the movie. Like, me and Nate have been friends for a while. We've worked together a few times, but we've also been like good friends outside of that. And then we got to play best friends on that movie. So it all adds to the dynamic.
I told you the one thing that probably one of the only things that I liked about the movie was your fishing scene.
Yeah.
Nathan.
I mean, you're a tough critic, and I enjoy that. I that's honestly much needed. The fishing scene.
I told Nathan that. He was like,
I'm a big fan of the tough critic point of view. Trust me, and I'm serious about that. The fishing scene was hilarious because Nate is horrible.
So you're telling me nobody caught a fish that day?
No. When he says he doesn't catch fish, I was like, yeah, no, it shows, brother. It shows. I say that with all the love in the world. Nate's one of my very, very close friends. There was an entire take of that scene where Nate was just trying to untangle we started the scene, he got his whole rod tangled up, and we didn't cut. We just kept going. And I was like, you doing all right there? Oh, it was funny. Really funny.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. I wish they could show bloopers with these Hallmark movies.
They exist somewhere.
Right? Is it like on the Hallmark DVDs where they have the movies come out on DVD?
I would love that. You let me know if you find it, because I need a copy of that scene. That was truly, truly magic that you can't recreate.
Yeah, but no, I mean, one thing that I do, I'm grateful for the actors who say that they like the people who are, I wouldn't say tough critics. I would say fair critics.
Yeah, of course. It's necessary. Like in every industry that you can imagine, it's the critics that make the industry stronger.
Yeah.
Without that, there's no there's nowhere to go. You think everything is amazing and you're never going to change.
Yeah. And, I feel like one thing that I have been very critical of in the past with Hallmark, even before I started my podcast, was the lack of diversity in the channel. And, and it's like such a fresh air that now it's like becoming more inclusive with people of color, people, even gay people, etc. It's becoming more inclusive in the storylines and the casting and, etc.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, there's obviously been a global shift, both when it comes to diversity in race and diversity in sexual orientation, diversity in identity. It's as you kind of have seen globally, I would say at this point, a lot has changed. A lot is continuing to change. But I said this. Years ago when you kind of started to see even when it came to like the kind of auditions that I was receiving and whatnot, and I got to look at the spectrum at what I was reading for. I was like, we're heading in the right direction. It's good, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. But as long as we're patient with it, and we're aware of what's going on, and we're having those conversations. I think ultimately we're as a race, we're destined to be heading in the right direction. It's kind of what we all want to do. So
Progress.
there's never been any complaints on my end. I'm just happy with the way things unfold, and I'm here for the ride, you know?
Do you have any projects coming up soon?
There's a couple. Yeah, there's some stuff that we just shot. There's a Christmas movie that we just finished, Hallmark. We'll stay on the Hallmark theme because of the nature of your podcast. But there's a movie called Christmas Alone Together, which we just finished.
It's a long title.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't even know if that's the title they're going to keep, but that's the working title that we worked with. But again, a really, really fun experience. We shot it out in Vernon, BC, which is a tiny, tiny town about 6 hours out. And some wonderful people in there that are going to be really.
Can you give us names?
I'll give you the two leads because I don't think that's spoiling too much. Nile and Laura Vanderport are the two in there.
Ooh.
That are super fun. Nile's.
I love both of their movies. They were both. Yeah, Nile is like a Hallmark.
Nile's a Hallmark guy. He's the Aurora Tea Garden guy.
And then Laura did Playing Cupid.
Yeah. With Nick Gonzalez, actually, who I believe it was Nick Gonzalez.
It's Nick Gonzalez.
Yeah, another one of our good friends out here. I worked with him on Good Doctor for a while, which was.
Oh my God. Who do you not know?
Everybody. I know everybody. It is truly a small industry.
You just know who you like. I know them.
Small world, and I know the good people. I'll leave it at that. I know the people that are nice and the people that are fun. That's what I like to surround myself with.
But what kind of role would you like to play if you could for Hallmark? Like we talked about your ethnic background before.
Mm.
So you were Indian and Tasmanian, right?
No, Tanzania.
Tanzanian. Sorry.
Tanzania,
oh my God, I'm so bad.
I'm honestly Swiss, which is in its own thing a conundrum for most. But yeah.
No, actually, no. That is embarrassing for me because my grandmother worked at the Tanzanian embassy in Washington, D.C.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, no, that's
So that's embarrassing.
That's one that you should have under your belt.
That's embarrassing. My grandma would be really mad.
Although if I was from Tasmania, that would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's Australia.
Yeah.
Tasmanian devil, and yes, it's an actual animal. We're not talking about the cartoon.
No, the cartoon's great too.
But would you like to play a character that kind of highlights your like an Indian character kind of thing?
Background? You know what? There's mixed opinions depending on who you talk to. I would not actually. And the reason for that is I did not grow up in an environment that was ethnically what's the best word to put it? Ethnically streamlined. I didn't grow up I grew up in a very, very multicultural little, community in Switzerland. And people, honestly, there's one thing about Switzerland that people don't entirely know is Switzerland has always opened up their doors for immigrants and refugees and all that over the course of the last 50, 60. That's how my grandparents got there in the 60s. But because of that, my friends growing up were Romanian, from Lebanon, they were from China, they were from just all over the map. Yes. And because of the nature of that, even when you go look at our national soccer team, for example, it's all the colors of the rainbow under there. And it because of that, I never quite grew up with a strong backing of the ethnic identity. I just grew up Swiss. Everyone was just Swiss.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of people do ask, do you want to play something that kind of highlights that? And one of my favorite things about like working on these Hallmark movies and all of that is that all of that is kind of left alone.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm being hired simply because I'm brown or because I'm Indian or any of that. I'm being hired because
you're a good actor.
I can fulfill the duty of that actor, or I can fulfill the emotionality of a certain character or something. And I think that's the way I personally would like to keep it. I have a lot of respect for anybody that identifies tremendously with what their ethnic origin is, and for them, they would love to play something that highlights that, or that they're able to kind of back that. But no, for me, I like to just play human beings. I like to play people that are with or without their ethnic background, are just people that are good at what they do, or are intent on doing what they do. That's kind of where I come from on that topic.
Well, I see what you're saying. I think that's a great thing because, like you said, you're not just your ethnicity. So it's
exactly.
If you could play any character, that's great. And then, I just happen to be.
I happen to be ethnic, which you'll notice if you see any of the roles that I end up doing is they end up being just people. They end up being people. They could be played by anybody. They could be played by any single person, a white person, even any form of diversity, any person that is from any origin could play the characters I play.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like to keep it. That's kind of an important little thing for me when it comes to these projects. And
no, I like that because I love that. Mm-hmm. It's because like you said, there are some people who would like that, ethical representation, and there's some who's just like, no, I just want to play me, I just want to play a character who just happens to be so and so.
Exactly, who just happens to come from wherever he comes from.
Yeah,
if you may.
Well, thank you so much for letting me talk to you. I had so much fun. And seriously, next project, you and me, we gotta talk again.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I'm around. You can get a hold of me.
I told you, like, I loved your character. Your character was the only thing that I liked about that movie.
Oh, that means so much. That means a lot. I was worried that people wouldn't like him because he was so conflicted and not sure about where his.
I felt like you were the best friend that Nathan's character needed to knock him to reality. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, somebody's gotta, right? Especially your best man or your best friend.
Yeah.
Someone's gotta. But at the end of the day, it was just that project was unbelievable. Chelsea's been a friend of mine for like 7 years, so we got to play husband and wife in that.
Yeah.
Really, really fun.
And then Nathan got to be your best friend.
Exactly. Yeah, it all worked out perfectly.
But how was it working with Jack and Josie? That's gotta be cool too.
Unbelievable. I know you talked to Kyle, and who's one of my really good friends. I love that dude. He said the exact thing I'm gonna say. Working with Jack was like working with a absolute seasoned veteran of the industry of like who knows how many years and how many shows. When Jack spoke, when Jack told you what to do, or Jack redirected something, you open your ears and you learn. You listen, learn, absorb all of it, because that man is just an absolute. He's done it for so long that he knows exactly, like blindfolded, what needs to be done in a certain scene or in a certain moment. So yeah, that was incredible. And then Josie's an angel. Josie's like became one of my, we became super tight when we were working on that thing. We still talk every once in a while. She brought like this like older sister quality to all of us. We were there and she was like, she took us under her wing. Like, anytime anybody needed like an emotional uplifting, she'd be right there for you. Truly a blessing to get to work with those two, no doubt.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will talk to you later
Of
and have
course.
a good day. And
Of course.
stay dry.
Exactly. And enjoy Extreme Rules in 2 weeks.